The Flexible Image Transport System, abbreviated to FITS, F-I-T-S, this format evolved out of the recognition that a standard format was needed for transferring astronomical images from one research institution to another. The first prototype developments of a universal interchange format that would eventually lead to the definition of the FITS format began in 1976 between Don Wells at Kitt Peak National Observatory and Ron Harten at the Netherlands Foundation for Research in Astronomy. The need for an image interchange format was raised at a meeting of the astronomy section of the US National Science Foundation in January 1979, which led to the formation of a task force to work on the problem. Most of the technical details of the first basic FITS agreement were subsequently developed by Don Wells and Eric Greason of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in March of 1979. After further refinements and successful image interchange tests between observatories that use widely varying and different types of computer systems, first papers that defined the FITS format were published in 1981, and the FITS format quickly became the de facto standard for data interchange within the astronomical community. And at that time, most of the information was stored on 9-track magnetic tape. Most national and international astronomical projects and organisations subsequently adopted the FITS format for distribution and archiving of scientific data products. Now, when it comes to SETI has two separate telemetry data streams. There is the Space Weather Beacon telemetry and the Science Recorder Playback telemetry. Beacon telemetry consists or contains the most recent data and images which have been transmitted 24 hours per day. Beacon data transmission rate is very low, so the images are compressed by large factors and are thus of a much inferior quality than those of the actual science data that eventually reach the stereo science centre, with a delay of several days. It can be as short as 3 days, but can be as many as 5 days before they actually reach the SSC. Both science and beacon data are freely available for researchers in two types of data formats: Flexible Image Transfer System, which is FITS, and Joint Photographic Experts Group, which is your JPEG images, or pretty pictures. FITS files are the calibrated versions of raw images captured by the stereo A. The FITS files are 16-bit grayscale images, and the main feature of the FITS format is that the header of each file contains photometric and calibration information, along with metadata that describe the file and its origin. And by looking into the file's header, one can determine the instrument that captured the image, the coordinates of the spacecraft, where it was at that time, telemetry type, photometric details, and any other processing steps that were done to the image, and much more. It's a very versatile file system. FITS images have traditionally been used for automatic CME analysis, but the coloured JPEG images, on the other hand, have been used for visual CME inspection by space weather forecasters and scientists. So in addition to visual inspection by a human operator, JPEG browse images can also be used for automatic CME detection and tracking. This allows for using a single set of data for both visual and automatic CME analysis, thus avoiding possible discrepancy during comparison of the results that may take place when the two data sets are used: 16-bit grayscale for the FITS and 24 coloured for the JPEG. Conversion from the 16-channel 16 bits to 3-channel 24 bits may lead to a modification of some of the features. So the representation of a CME in raw FITS files and JPEG images may slightly vary. Although the colour JPEG browse images are used on the stereo website, there's no doubt that for a more sophisticated CME analysis you should always use FITS files. Recently, Scott was moderating in the live chat on Wages World, and somebody in the chat actually queried as to how he can actually peel back layers in these images when JPEGs don't have layers, and basically he just flatly said that they are not JPEG, and that the person that made the comment didn't know what they were talking about. And it wasn't too long after being put into this tricky situation of him having to answer questions he didn't know how to. The person that was asking the questions was actually blocked, and all their comments were hidden. And that's typically what Scott does all the time. If he can't hack with the questions, he just gets rid of the questioner. But anyway, so we come to this image here, and the reason I've brought you to this one is twofold. One, because of the three objects, which I'll probably hit on a little bit later. This, by the way, just in case you're wondering, that is actually Mercury passing through the field of view. But what I'm here to actually show you is that these are the images on the Stereo SSC NASCOM NASA Gov website. And we want to find out what images they are. So if we right click on the image and go to inspect, we will actually see what is actually hidden behind the page. Now this that is in the dark area of blue, is what refers to the image that we were showing, and I can prove this by just running the mouse over that file and it brings up the image that we were looking at, and as you can clearly see, it is a JPEG. So when Scott says it isn't a JPEG, I'm sorry Scott, that's just proved you wrong.
Hi there, my name is Dan Scott and I'm an Adobe certified instructor here at Envato Tuts Plus. And together, me and you are going to learn everything you need to know to get started with Adobe Photoshop. Alright, so that's a basic introduction to layers, and we looked at some of the cool little automatic features in Photoshop. Now we're going to use layers all throughout this course, so if you're finding like, man, heck, that was confusing with layers, don't worry, we're going to kind of work through them every video looking at layers and you'll get a bit more comfortable with them. One of the things we'll have to do before we go though is save this document. Now we opened it up, remember it was a JPEG when we opened it. Now if I go to File Save, okay, it's going to say you can't be a JPEG. Why is that? JPEG can't have more than one layer. JPEG just have the background layer and that's it. If you had not created these other layers, it would have just saved over the top of the original. Okay, but Photoshop says, hey, you can't be a JPEG, so you're going to have to be this Photoshop file. It's a PSD, there he is there. Okay, and I'm happy for you to save it straight back into the source files using the same name. The only thing different will be the PSD. Don't change any of the settings, okay, and just click Save.
Like I just said, guys, I look at things with a clear vision and an open mind. And if somebody comes to me and shows me information on something, instead of just saying, hey, you're wrong, if you're going to tell me I'm wrong, give me something I can go look at and tell me why. And not just say, oh, because of reasons. Just tell me I'm wrong and then give me something to look at that says I'm wrong, not just you saying it.
So, Wages World doesn't want you to just say he's wrong, you've got to prove him wrong. So let's prove him wrong. This is the image that he showed on his live stream earlier today, and the same image that Scott has created three objects in. So let's have a look at the software that I use, which is Photoshop 7. It's old, but it does the job. If we look at the two images between the original and Scott's manipulated image, you can see that there is a slight difference in appearance. two reasons for this. One is I haven't got a clue which software application he's using, and secondly, by looking at the typeface, he's actually desaturated, blurred, probably lightened it as well, but it's irrelevant because it's all about the objects. So how do you create these objects? Very, very simply. You go to the elliptical marquee tool, hold down the shift key and drag until you have yourself a circle. Okay, then you just literally move it to where you want it. It's roughly about it. Dark shadow at the bottom, as there. Go across to the burn tool, and 1-2 clicks, Control D, and we have an object. Make the marquee tool smaller, and we go to the second object. 3 clicks will do it, and we have another object. Make it even smaller for this tiny object here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Just a few clicks and you've got your objects. I mean, okay, they don't look exactly the same. That isn't the point of it. I'm not trying to replicate it. I'm just trying to show you exactly how Scott has manipulated the image, and I think that's fairly conclusive proof. It doesn't matter whether it's a JPEG or a PNG, as in this file is. All of these images come from the FITS files, and if the objects aren't in the FITS files, they're not in the PNG and they're not in the JPEG. The only thing you can do is to create them using image manipulation software, as can be seen, and that's exactly how Scott does it. So Mark, there you go. I've proved you wrong. What are you going to say to that? So we have learnt a little about images and shown stereo images are really JPEGs. Our Photoshop expert has confirmed JPEG do not have layers. Do not have layers. Yes, you can add layers to JPEGs, but once layers are added, they cannot be saved as JPEG anymore. If you look at some of Scott's images on his Facebook group page or his website, you can see that they have actually been saved. Well, they've been manipulated and show objects, but yet those images are saved as JPEG. This proves he has done exactly as I've shown today. Exactly as I have shown today. So, beyond any doubt whatsoever, we can categorically say that all of these images appearing on the PXN website and on Wages World are faked. Thank you for watching today. I hope you've learnt a little. This is Nibby Nuts saying goodbye for now and see you soon. Take care, everybody.